Refusal of Missouri lawmakers to enact the constitutional amendment protecting reproductive rights in Missouri that was passed by voters last fall is just further evidence that Christian nationalists and the religious right have never cared about states' rights. They don't care about the voter. They also don't care about the number of abortions, which have continued to go up ever since Roe was overturned. As we know, the most effective way to reduce abortions is contraception and comprehensive sex education, but why have facts when you can have power? Evangelicals will have you believe that they've always taken this stance against abortion, which isn't true, and as much as they claim they hate abortion, they hate black people and feminists more. It's ultimately about power. Because in 1968, Christianity Today released an article of the top theologians debating the abortion issue. They had varying opinions on the morality of it, the timing of it, but they all agreed that it was a woman's right to choose. And when Roe was passed, the Southern Baptist Convention released 3 church-wide edicts saying they supported a woman's right to choose. The notoriously conservative Dallas Theological Seminary also supported a woman's right to choose, saying that no law should force a woman to sacrifice her body to a pregnancy that she doesn't want. So what changed? Well, they needed more votes is what changed. Jerry Falwell, the founder of the Moral Majority, was very upset that after the 1970 decision of Green versus Kennedy, segregation academies that had been started by many evangelical leaders to avoid the Brown versus the Board of Education forcing them to allow black students into their schools were tax exempt. But after the Green versus Kennedy decision, they were at risk of losing their tax exempt status if they did not allow black students in. But the segregation wasn't quite enough to really galvanize the voting community. Enter Francis and Frank Schaeffer. Francis, a very famous theologian who owns a commune in the Swiss Alps called Le Prix, and his son, Frank, who was an aspiring Hollywood director. They made a series based on Francis's life and lectures, and at the very end, Frank decided he was going to throw in the abortion issue. It didn't take. Evangelicals wanted nothing to do with it, wouldn't engage with it. Frank doubles down. He makes a second series that he now openly calls a slew of propaganda, including having $1,000 floating on the surface of water representing abortion in America. Evangelicals still wouldn't touch it, wouldn't engage with it, wouldn't come to the events until feminists started protesting the events because they recognized that it was in fact propaganda to restrict the rights of women. Well, evangelicals really hate feminists, and they always have, thanks in part to Phyllis Schlafly and her Stop the ERA movement. Yes, that is Stop the Equal Rights Amendment, because she believed that feminists were ruining the morality of America because nobody carries water for the patriarchy harder than a white woman who thinks she's going to get a seat at the table. And what actually was happening was, now that they had the rise against the feminists, this caused them to protest Planned Parenthoods, bomb abortion clinics, and Francis Schaeffer directly led to the assassination of Dr. Bart Slapian, who was a OBGYN and abortion provider, when he told his killer, if you do in fact think that abortion is murder, you are obligated as a Christian to do something about it. Well, Paul Weyrich, the founder of the Heritage Foundation with Coors money, and his good buddy Jerry Falwell realized that abortion could be the new issue to get voters out en masse. And so in 1978, Jerry Falwell gave his famous anti-abortion speech and rallied Christians who had never cared about abortion to oppose it so that they could have more power.